Hello, everyone. Matilda and me here on the Natural Animal Podcast. Special episode today, Q&A episode. I have been taking people's questions as well as also doing a bit of a search through my DMs to see what people have asked me in the past. Because generally I find that if one person asks one question, another person is going to have the same question. And there is one where there's a question that I often get asked about, and that is, where did I study? And I am going to answer that question towards the end of today's show. So we are going to be covering today water fountains, eating grass, tick prevention, hormone health, and energy. If we have time, well, no, we will do this. My work, like where did I study? And if we do have time, cat scratching posts, cat towers, and my experience lately as I was doing a mad search for the least toxic option that exists on the market for cats. And this came about because of Matilda, because she's an avid climber. Like my boys, my old boys, they're not like big into climbing these days, right? But Matilda, being a baby, she just wants to climb everything. Like, I don't know if you noticed on my last episode, I had a different plant there to my right. I've had to move all my plants around so that they don't get mold and destroyed by the climbing antics of Matilda. So it was a must do. Like I had to get more of like a tower climbing situation going on. And oh my God, let me tell you right now, it is very challenging to get a low toxic cat tower. So we are going to talk about that, I think, today as well. I also really want to do a blog about that. So we'll see. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Natural Animal Podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Hatten. I'm an animal naturopath and just big animal lover in general. Here on the show, we share thoughts and ideas about the nature of animals, their preferences, their behaviors, their ways of being, to engender a greater understanding, respect, compassion, and love for all animals, companion, farm, and wild. I hope you enjoy this week's episode. So the first question I'm going to answer is about water fountains. And the question came to me in my Instagram DMs. I was looking at water fountains and found this one. Do you think this is okay? It's ceramic and has the filters in it. Now, this was a question posed by someone who had purchased my Low Tox Pets handbook. And in there, I recommend ceramic water fountains as a way to encourage our pets to drink, but also as a way of providing clean, safe water. But I need to edit that ebook because, again, this came about because of Matilda. And I mean, it was something that I was playing around with I was planning on getting a new fountain. And then when Matilda came and I was like, oh, okay, I've got to get a new fountain. It was a reminder to get a new fountain, right? So I was, I went down the rabbit hole of water fountains for pets. And blimey, it is a rabbit hole. And so, for many years, my cats have always had a ceramic water fountain, and I thought it was great. But as what happens, as we, for us keen learners out there, we're always learning new things and we're keen, mad researchers and going down deep into rabbit holes and then getting so overwhelmed and confused and leaving that rabbit hole with no solution whatsoever. So, I'm sure you do this as a pet parent, but not just about being a pet parent, with relating to your pet, caring for your pet, but maybe, for your own stuff as well, right? So I went down the water fountain rabbit hole and I started because there were already some things that I was concerned about. Like I definitely wanted ceramic, not plastic. But then I was looking, well, even in the ceramic fountains, they have plastic in them. And then I saw one that had no motor in the water part of the fountain, like the motor, which you need the motor because that creates the fountain action. That's what moves the water around. And that's one of the pros of the fountains is that the water is kept fresh because it's constantly moving. It's not stagnant, it's not sitting in one place all day. But then you've got this whole thing about most fountains, the motor is in the part of the fountain, like it sits in the water. It sits in a plastic thing that sits in the water. There was one I found where the motor was separate, but there were components of the fountain that were still plastic, like the drinking part where they actually drink from was plastic. And I was like, why would you go to the bother of segmenting the motor from the water, but yet you're still using plastic? For someone like me who wants like the best, most low tox option out there, I was just coming up against brick walls at every turn. Like, oh, that looks good. No, it's got this. No, it's got that. So, you've got, ideally, I was always like ceramic, ceramic, ceramic all the way, stay away from the plastic fountains, right? But then, and I'll come to why, but then with the ceramic ones, they still have the plastic components, the component that has the filter in there and the motor in there, right? So these plastic components, what is the problem with plastic? Well, it easily attracts bacteria, which can result in this slimy biofilm if it's not cleaned regularly. And I would clean my cat's water fountain and I would find this biofilm and I was like, this is gross. I really need to be cleaning this more often. Like I'm not a robot. I'm human like you. I have all the gazillion things to do in a day. It's like, ah, shit, I have to clean the water fountain. And that's the other thing as I want to mention about the water fountains is they are hard to clean. It's not easy as, oh, there's the bowl, wash the bowl, refill new water every day or twice a day or whatever. To properly clean the water fountain, you need to take all the bits apart and get your little scouring brush and get in there and clean out the little motor pump, clean the little plastic thing that has the filter in there, all the grime, all the gross stuff, cleaning all of that, right? To make sure that your animals are not drinking bacteria, right? The other problem with plastic is it can leach chemicals over time. It's more of a, with plastic, it's more of a problem if the plastic is heated or cooled, but there is still, in terms of the limits on research at the moment, almost everyone knows that BPA is not good, and that's why almost every product you see now it says BPA free. But what about all the other components of plastic? I am pretty confident in time there's going to be more and more research that basically says this is bad about plastic, this is bad about plastic. Da, 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 da. It's like, well, yes, we need to stop using plastic, right? Um, so regardless of the fact of whether it's been exposed to cooling or heating, and that's what leaches these toxic chemicals from plastic, it's still like I'm always more kind of like, I think this is an issue. This is a potential issue. I would rather be safe than sorry. I'm not using any plastic. And this is what really was this driver with the water fountain. It's like, I want one that doesn't have any plastic. And I emailed a bunch of companies and I found one that didn't, but they don't sell it anymore. And I was like, oh my, and then I also wanted one that was small so that I could clean out the water more frequently and not waste so much water. Like I drink spring water and I was also putting spring water into the fountain, but then throwing so much of it out. And I was like, I'm paying for this water and I'm throwing half of it out. So I wanted a smaller fountain as well. And it was just coming up to, problem after problem after problem. So, problems with the ceramic fountains as well as the plastic. If one day I'm sure there'll be one created, I hope, and maybe I'll inspire one of you listeners out there to create one that literally does not have any plastic in there. That has the submersible pump separate to where the water is. And why is this a problem? Well, this creates a potential risk of electrical faults, short circuits, leaks, chewing risk, right? Hello, Matilda, she loves chewing cables. So I've had to I don't have a kitten-proof house, so I have to be like eagle eye watching her. But there's also exposure to EMF. Like there is so much EMF in our house. Everything is electric and not healthy energy, right? Negative, all this toxic energy, right? So, and then we're putting it directly into our pet's water. and they're going and standing right next to it and drinking it. So I don't like that either. And that's why I love that one that I found that had the submersible pump in a separate part of the fountain, not where the water is. But there's still, it's still the animals are still going to be exposed to any like EMF because the electricity is right there, right? It's plugged in. You can get battery operated ones, but I couldn't. I still had all the plastic components, so I didn't have a successful mission when it came to the water fountain. I tell you what I have done instead. The other issue is they're hard to clean, and I've mentioned this. So if you want to thoroughly clean a water fountain, you need to disassemble the entire thing every few days, ideally. Not once a week, which was what I was doing. That's why I was getting this biofilm. And the idea of like every few days I have to disassemble this is just becoming more pain than, positive, right? More cons than pros. So to avoid mold buildup, algae buildup, odors, bacteria, the fountain, you should be disassembling every single part of that fountain every few days. So that's every 3 or 4 days. So at least twice a week. Right. And so if you're happy to do that, brilliant, do it. For me, I was like, ugh, blah, it was just one of the other things that built up to a no for me. They come with filters generally, so you need to replace the filters regularly. These can also become moldy or clogged. So there's that ongoing expense. So previous, I would have said my answer to this question for this particular water fountain this person shared in my DMs would have been, yes, that's great. But I said to her, actually, I'm kind of changing my mind about water fountains. Watch this space, right? And this is the space, right? So what have I done? Well, then I went on this mad rabbit hole looking at bowls. And with cats, you don't want to give them whisker fatigue. So you don't want these high rimmed bowls that their whiskers are constantly grazing against because that stresses out their whiskers, hence the whisker fatigue. Their whiskers are always activating whenever they're touched, right? And so you want shallow bowls. And I also didn't want a massive thing I was going to have to put a massive amount of water in because again, we've got the water waste. I want to be at least refreshing that water daily, right? So, and also I didn't want plastic. So what I ended up doing was getting, again, I looked at a few things, emailed a few businesses. I ended up just getting I also wanted something that was raised, right? Because of the benefits for the animals eating off a raised platform. So they're not leaning their head down and that can create spinal issues and digestive issues and stuff like that. So I wanted something that was raised off the ground, not off the ground, but like on kind of like I could show you the one I bought, but it's literally got water in and I'll end up spilling water everywhere and I don't want to have to clean it up afterwards because it's just fresh water that I put in this morning. And you know how I feel about wasting water, right? Well, you should by now. So it's a ceramic water bowl. It's um it's not very deep, so it only fits like about 100, 120 mils of water in there, whereas some of them it's like 300. I'm like, no, that's too much. I'm going to end up wasting most of it. And once the water goes down, then the cats are getting whisker fatigue. So yeah, so I found one. Woohoo! And I am putting my spring water in there, and that is their water, and I clean it out daily, and they're all drinking happily out of it. So I am much more confident now that they are getting clean, pure water. And because it's spring water, it's naturally mineralized. Whereas if you buy filtered, it's remineralized. So that's why I use spring because it's the way nature intended water to be, right? So yes, that is the answer to that question, which is no, I don't think that water fountain is okay. I've changed my mind on water fountains, and as I've said, that's why. So that's the water fountain question. Now let's move on to grass. This is a common question that I get asked, and I have written a blog post about it. So the question was, and I think this was a question in response to a reel or something that I shared of my cats eating grass. And my cats eat grass every day. They have a routine. In the morning, they go out either on the deck or out in the garden and they eat some grass. They love it. you know? So the question was, what is the grass that they are eating? Is it suitable for dogs? So I think I would have said to them that yes, this is suitable for dogs. It's cat grass. I buy the cat grass from Mudbrick Cottage Farm. They only sell organically grown plants. So that's where I get my cat grass from. Sometimes I also get some other grasses. They have also cat mint. I also get lemongrass from there occasionally because my cats adore lemongrass. Don't ask me why, they just do. And so, yes, this grass is suitable for dogs too. And this is a natural behavior of cats and dogs, of all animals really, is eating grass. I always say it's like they're getting their shot of greens for the day. They're having their wheatgrass shot in the morning, right? So, but also grass is a purgative. And so they have this instinctual behavior to eat grass. And that's why you'll see, oh, my dog or cat just ate grass and now they vomited. Oh my God, no, it's fine, right? It's a purgative. It actually promotes elimination, vomiting, right? It's a way of helping with parasite control. It's a way of clearing hairballs, as well as getting the nutrients in greens. And that's why you want to make sure that if they are eating grass, that it hasn't been sprayed. So when you're going out and taking your dog for a walk, don't let them eat the grass in the dog park or on the side of the footpath because that will have been sprayed by the council, right? And no, 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 that's not safe. But if it's your own grass and you're very aware of toxins in pesticides and sprays like that, or even if you're not aware, become aware. I'm telling you right now, those sprays are toxic to your animals. So if your grass is not sprayed, then that grass is fine to feed, provided they don't have an allergy to that particular species of grass, which is a whole other topic, right? Um, and there is one situations where it's good to know what your animal's healthy grass threshold is because sometimes grass can be a behavior that is carried out when they aren't feeling well. So if they're feeling a bit nausea, they can go and eat grass. Why? Because they instinctually know this is going to help their nausea. It's going to help them to purge, right? But if you know their healthy eating grass amount, and then you notice, oh, they're eating more grass than they normally would, that can be a sign of a nutritional deficiency or that something is wrong. But you have to first know what their healthy grass eating habits are before you can make that call. So do your pets a favor, get them some clean, non-toxic grass. They will love it. I have another question here that I wasn't planning on talking about that I had put here, but I didn't bold the question, so I didn't really notice it. So we'll go into this one now that we've answered the grass question. This one was, do you offer raw feeding options for cats or just supplements and remedies? So this question speaks to my offerings, my services for pet parents. I do guide pet parents on raw diets for cats and for dogs, but raw is not suitable for every dog or cat, right? So I'm looking at the individual animal always. I work one-on-one. I do have diet ebooks, the Real Food Diet for Cats and the Real Food Diet for Dogs ebook, which is mainly focused on raw feeding, but also does speak to cooked foods as well as commercial brands that I recommend. But otherwise, when I'm working one-on-one with someone and their animal, I will make an analysis based on all the information that I've gathered from them as to whether raw is best for this particular animal. If it's not, then I will do something else. I will provide a diet plan that has cooked meals instead of raw meals, right? Homemade and commercial. So yes, I do offer raw feeding options, but also cooked feeding options, also commercial feeding options, not just supplements and remedies. So I do supplements and remedies as well, directly to customers via Three Rays Animal Apothecary, but also to my clients via that website and as recommended in my holistic wellbeing plans. But I'm looking at everything, right? It's not just about food or supplements and remedies. I'm looking at the animal's individual characteristics, their lifestyle, environment, emotions, energy. There are multiple contributing factors Right, so I'm looking at all the things to make sure that the animal is fully supported, they feel good, they're healthy, and they're happy. We're ticking all the boxes. The next question is one that, oh my gosh, I would say one of the most common, frequent questions that I'm asked is about parasite prevention, in particular ticks, because it is a challenge, right? So let's do the questions. So I've got two questions here that have come through in the past week about ticks. The first one, I found a paralysis tick on my border collie tonight on his eyelid. It had to be pulled out with a tick twister. He's not on any monthly chews, as I've been giving my two dogs and three cats and cleanse and detox powder daily, and use tick drops in the water bowls and neem spray when going in the bush, and a herbal solution on their collar. Obviously, it was not enough. I took him to the vet and ended up dosing him with an oral Credello chew tonight, along with my other dog, and my three cats got a monthly topical. I haven't used anything for over a year now, as my GR dog, Golden Retriever, I believe that is, has one kidney, and a natural vet advised to try not to give the chews as much to lessen the strain on the kidney. But after tonight, I'm unsure what to do. I thought I'd reach out to you for advice. And I'll do the other question as well because it's relevant to the answer. We live in the woods and ticks are a bad time for us. What are natural alternatives for keeping the ticks off? So I want to preface my answer by saying nothing provides 100% protection against ticks, chemical or natural. Even if you are giving chemical or natural, you still must do daily checks, especially if your animal has been out wandering through long grass. Tick prevention is not as simple as just giving them a chew or whatever, right? Or even using, I mean, this lady was doing lots of things. The paralysis tick showed up on the eyelid. She was giving a cleanse and detox powder. She was using tick drops. She was using neem spray and herbs that she was putting on the dog's collar. And she says, obviously, it was not enough. Obviously, because the tick came and took hold and, yeah, it could have ultimately paralyzed or ultimately killed the dog if it wasn't found. And that's why the daily checks are so important. If you are using chemical, don't think for a second that your animal has 100% protection. Like, don't let them just run through long grass and think, oh, they're fine because I give them tick medication. Oh, no, 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 no. Daily checks, right? Got to do the checks, see if you have one of those tick twisters. So you learn how to use them. So if you do find one, you can take one out before it, paralyzes or kills your dog. And I do have a story about my old greyhound, Louis. He had a tick twice. He had ticks twice in his life. The first time was because the guy I was living with at the time wasn't mowing the lawn. And I've never mowed a lawn in my life, right? So it was his job, not mine. And so the dogs, he had a dog as well, and the dogs would run off the deck into this like field of grass, and it was really, really long. So surprise, surprise, Louis got a tick. I freaked out. I don't know how to take ticks out. Rushed him to the vet. He was all good. No symptoms, nothing. The second time he got a tick, I had no idea. He wasn't running through long grass. I just know, not all of a sudden, but gradually I noticed he was whining more and he was struggling to get up. And I was like, don't tell me you've just developed arthritis, like instantly. So I took him to the vet and the vet checked him over, found nothing. He's fine. He's fine. Was there for like an hour, and it wasn't until the end he found a tick buried in the ankle bone in the little divot. Like if you know greyhounds, they're obviously very lean. So particularly when you go down on their ankles, there's this little kind of like ridge, like divot. And in there was this bloody little paralysis. Well, it wasn't little, fully gorged paralysis tick. And I said to the vet, and see, the vet was examining him all that time, and it wasn't until right at the end. So the daily checks must be thorough, right? And he's a greyhound, short-haired dog. So you think it'd be easy to find it, right? Can't even imagine if you got like a golden retriever or a German shepherd, how are you going to find a tick in that, right? Challenging. So I said to the vet, how long do you think this tick has been on Louis? And he's like, well, judging by the size, like at least 5 days. You're lucky he's not dead. I'm like, oh my God. So, he wasn't on anything, chemical or natural. So, no surprise, no surprises. I say no surprises, but this brings me to my next point. Parasite prevention is not, which I kind of said and then I digressed. Parasite prevention is not just about giving a chew or spraying a spray. It goes much deeper than that, right? That is treating the symptom, not the root cause. And so when we look at naturopathic health and holistic health, we want to treat the root cause. When we treat the root cause, we avoid or heal the symptom, right? So in this situation, the symptom that we see is the tick. This animal has attracted a tick, or tick has been attracted to my animal. We have to step backwards and we have to make sure that this animal has a healthy diet, a healthy immune system, right? Parasites are attracted to the weakest, right? So we want to make sure their diet is optimal. We want to make sure they have a low toxic load. So looking at what are the chemicals they're exposed to. And then if we decide to use preventatives, we want to be using the lowest chemical that we can source that we feel comfortable with. And if you end up deciding to stick with the chemical, you can do things like use them seasonally. So just in tick season, right? But then there's what I find, especially where I live in Queensland, the tick season just gets extended every year. Like it's always just tick season. And I live in the hinterland. So hello, there's ticks everywhere, right? Apparently. Immune system, diet, low toxic load, reducing the medications that they're on. And if you do decide to use something, you're still got to be vigilant with your daily checks. Keeping your lawn mowed. Don't take them off track into the bush, right? Not just to protect the dog, but also to protect the environment and the wildlife that live there. They get freaked out when some dog comes rambling through the bush. Keep your dog on the path or on lead, right? So there are natural alternatives. I have some essential oil and herbal products, Buzz Off and Tick Repel. You can also get homeopathics, but remember, as I said, it's not just about the preventative. There are also collars and tags that you put on collars that repel them. I've been meaning, I have a page on my website. It's hidden though. Like if you subscribe to my emails, you get the page with all my product discounts on there. And I've been meaning, I don't think I put this little tag. It's like a flea and tick tag repellent thing that's non-chemical. So yes, there are natural alternatives like that. I also have, to help you in terms of all of those pieces that help with parasite prevention, I have an ebook, The Guide to Natural Parasite Prevention. There's also a masterclass, so you can get the ebook on its own or bundle it, the class and the ebook. I also did in my holistic animal care workshop series, workshop 3, I think, was on natural remedies, and I'm pretty sure it includes discussion on parasites. I may be wrong though. But yeah, first port of call is that the Guide to Natural Parasite Prevention or the Masterclass Guide bundle. Where will you find these? In the library on my website, the Holistic Animal Wellness Library, ruthhatten.com. Click on the menu, you'll see one menu title called Wisdom. Click on that and then you'll see Holistic Animal Wellness Library. Also, when you go to my website, you'll get a pop-up that says, come and visit the library, right? But I'll put the link to the library in the show notes. So I hope that answers your questions on the ticks. The next one I'm really excited to answer because I haven't been asked this question before. It's not a commonly asked question. It's about hormones. So the question is, lately I'm curious about hormone/endocrine support for desexed pets. How can we make up for the hormone loss, and any recommended supplements, food, or herbal supports? Now, I don't know if this is a practitioner or a pet parent or both who's asked this question. It came into it was a response to my reel that I put up the other day saying I'm going to do a Q&A episode. I remember now, I can see it. They have cats. You have cats. You, the person who asked me the question, have cats. So this is a great question, and it's something that is 100% relevant in my world at the moment with little Matilda, who came to me after a full-on onslaught of toxin exposure because I got it from a shelter. She was 11 weeks old or 10 weeks old, and she'd been given monthly parasite medications. She'd had two of the kitten vaccinations already, and because she'd reached 1 kilo in weight, she had also been desexed. And this is normal. This is the normal, well, I believe it's a normal protocol for most shelters, right? They need to be, they don't know until the animals get rehomed who they're going to, and even then they don't know. So, out of an abundance of caution, they're doing all these things. Like, last thing they want, particularly with cats, is to end up in a home they're not desexed, and the cat parents aren't responsible and just let their cats wander all over the neighborhood and get pregnant or make other cats pregnant, and then we have the huge stray cat problem, right? So I get it. I get why it happens. In a perfect world, I would have got her without any of that stuff. And so I was concerned about it all. And she is on a detox protocol at the moment, right, to support that, to support the elimination of the toxins from the parasite meds, the vaccines, and the desexing, right? But then when we look at from the hormone support, right, so when a pet is desexed, the usual stock standard procedure is they take away the ovaries or the testes, right? That's the stock standard. Now you can get ovary sparing techniques, for example, which are safer for in terms of the animal's endocrine system. And I was literally speaking to someone the other day, and I found a vet in Brisbane who offers it. So now this person is like, oh, thank God. That's what she's going to do, because she was unsure about the whole desexing thing. And I just shared with her options, and I said, the pros and cons, da 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 da. Here, look, this vet, they're not far from you. They do the ovary sparing technique. So this way, by, by one, with reference to the name ovary sparing, the ovaries are spared, the ovaries are retained. So it's not going to have a negative impact on the endocrine system, right? So in the standard procedures, the ovaries or testes are removed. And these are the primary producers of sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. But these hormones don't just relate to reproduction, right? They play a role in everything. Bone health, joint health, metabolism, behavior, cognition, immune function, even thyroid regulation. The thyroid is part of the endocrine system, right? So desexing disrupts the natural hormonal balance. Now, the body does adapt in theory, but there can be long-term effects on the endocrine system as a whole. And over time, some pets may show signs of lower vitality, joint stiffness, weight gain, coat changes, and even thyroid disruptions, whether that's an underactive thyroid or an overactive thyroid, hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, that, your vet probably won't say to you, oh, this is because they were desexed. But the desexing, the disruption on the endocrine system can certainly be a contributing factor, right? Now, we don't replace hormones, as far as I'm aware, like we can do, like people, like humans do for themselves, right? But we can support the endocrine system as a whole, especially the adrenal glands, the thyroid, and the hypothalamus pituitary axis. Think of it less as replacing what's missing and more about restoring harmony and balance to your animal's endocrine system. So how do we do that? Foods. Whole foods that support hormone health, such as good quality fats, so omega-3s, sardines, algae, green-lip mussels, right? Saturated fats, healthy fats, free-ranging animals, organic animals, coconut oil, they're all, healthy fats as well. Seeds are healthy fats, right? Organ meats, especially those hormone producing or related organs, adrenal, thyroid, and liver. In traditional Chinese medicine, they have a principle that if there is a weakness in an organ, you feed that organ, right? So if there's a weakness in the thyroid or overactive, you a weakness or imbalance in a thyroid, you feed thyroid. Now, I have a cat who's been diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I don't feed him thyroid because where the hell do I get thyroid gland from, right? I don't even know if you can buy a thyroid gland supplement for pets. I don't know. Um, but and even the adrenal, right? But what we can get is liver. Like liver is easy to source, generally speaking. And if you can't get fresh, you can get freeze dried, dehydrated, what have you. Antioxidant-rich vegetables like blueberries, spinach, and broccoli to support cellular health and resilience, right? Now I want to talk about iodine-rich foods, which are everywhere in supplements, in foods, and they can be great for a healthy animal and for supporting thyroid health, like seaweed, kelp, for example, is the most commonly used for iodine, right? Best natural source of iodine is kelp. Very often used in raw food diets. If you are looking for a raw food diet that doesn't have kelp, you will struggle. Trust me, I've been on this journey. So iodine-rich foods are not appropriate for all pets, especially if they have hyperthyroidism. Putting more iodine into their diet, into their body, can make the condition worse. And this is where working with a practitioner like me really, really matters. So that's supportive foods. Obviously, feeding a whole food, real food diet is going to support hormone health. It supports every aspect of your animal's health and well-being, right? So get on it. Herbal and supplement support. Herbs that I would love for, any kind of hormone support, adaptogens like my favorite, ashwagandha, to support adrenal balance and stress resilience. Another really beautiful herb that supports the adrenals is Rhamania. Also supports the kidneys, especially in older or depleted animals. Chaste tree. If you're a menopausal woman, you've probably heard of chaste tree if you're looking down natural ways of supporting through this phase. Particularly useful in desexed females to support pituitary regulation. Also really good females who have incontinence. So yeah, chaste tree is like the, female hormone herb, medicinal mushrooms like cordyceps or reishi to nourish the immune and endocrine systems. And, I touched on it before with the organs, the glandulars. So you can get, there is quite a few products, or at least, in the field that I work in, that have like pancreatic, or more like enzymes and stuff. But I have seen some other, like you can get freeze-dried adrenal and reproductive tissues. But then they're not common, and I would be careful with using them and work with a professional if you're using those, right? The other thing I love, and this is the thing, apart from, supportive foods through her diet with Matilda, I am also using a flower essence blend to balance her hormones, also to help, because we're also to help with with healing the scarring from the wound from the surgery, which is along, the central meridian, the central channel. So incorporating a flower essence in her blend to rebalance that meridian channel, that energy channel, right? For the smooth, uninterrupted flow of energy along that channel, but also a flower essence to balance her hormones, right? Personalized herbal tonics to match the animal's energetic and physical needs. So oftentimes, it's not just about hormones, what else is going on. So this is where I find bespoke herbal work, which is one of the things that I do really, really shines. Now, desexing is incredibly common and often necessary. Like there are cons to not doing it, just as there are cons to doing it. It is an individual decision. You will feel forced into it, right? Do your research. book a consult with someone like me who can guide you on, honestly, on pros and cons and work out what is going to be the best thing for your animal. What are you comfortable doing once you've got all the information to hand, right? And even if you do get your animal desexed, or if you're in a situation like me with Matilda, you had no choice in the matter, you can support your animals, right, to rebalance their hormones, to support the balance of their energy flow through their body with the right food, the right herbs, thoughtful wellness strategies, working with a practitioner. You can you can help your animals to balance their hormones after that big, 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 big procedure. So I hope that answer helps you. Um, Energy. This is a beautiful question. What specific type of energy work could I do at home to help an animal that has been through some trauma? My baby Ruby had a dislocated leg as a kitten, and we had to corner her and grab her up to rescue her. And she's still not fond of people because of that. I would like for her to feel more at ease when I'm around. Thank you. This is such a beautiful question, and I really feel for the two of you. When animals have been through something traumatic, especially when it involves physical restraint, especially when it's a cat in this situation, it can take a long time to rebuild trust and safety. Now, I don't know if you are trained in energy healing already, or if you're looking to be trained, or you just want some, DIY tips, right? So, if you are qualified in energy healing, well, you can incorporate those modalities, right? Or you may be interested in becoming qualified in energy healing to learn basics. I ran an animal chakra course this year, which also naturally gave teachings on how to give your animals energy healing. That course is only ever run live. I don't know when I'll be offering it again. So if you want to, there is a wait list on my website for that. So if you're interested in doing that course, it'll be dependent upon the wait list and my inspiration, motivation to do it. So check that out. You can obviously get practitioner support. Someone like me who does energy healing for animals will be able to help. Flower essences are another beautiful way that you can support her. I like to call them energy healing in a bottle. I would be honored to make up a personalized bespoke flower elixir for your baby Ruby if you would like that. Now, something that you can do by yourself if you don't have any training, or even if you do have training, calm presence. This is the simplest place to start with your energy, right? Animals can be so sensitive to how we're feeling. So you can sit near her softly, gently, and, just close down your eyes and take some really slow, deep breaths and really settle into your body. Really settle into your seat, into your ground. If you're sitting down or lying down, just really feel that ground beneath you and grounding your energy down out of all this worry, headspace into the stillness and quiet and calm of the body, right? When you're in that calm, restful state, your breath is slowed down, it's deep. Then you can imagine or tune into your heart and imagine from your heart green or pink light, right? And this is your beautiful heart energy. You can imagine that green or pink light moving, radiating out into Ruby's heart, filling her whole body with this beautiful, peaceful energy from your heart. And then surrounding her body with this beautiful, peaceful energy from your heart. And then just holding her, like you're holding her in your love. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to have an agenda. Other than you're just holding her in your love. If you want, you can say like a little affirmation. You can say something like, I love you. You are safe. You are loved. I'm here with love. Take what you need. Right? And it's just, there's no force. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just trying to surround her in love, because love breeds safety, right? Peace and quiet breeds safety. You can use your hands. So whether you're trained in energy healing or not, we all have access to healing energies, right? We are all energetic beings. So you can place your hands, if she'll let you, you can place your hands on her. Given what she's gone through, she may not let you place your hands on her on her leg, on the leg that was dislocated. But you can place your hands just above or even on that section of her body. Like if it was a front leg, the front part of her body, if it was the back leg, the back part of her body. And place your hands there. And literally, you can call in energy through the top of your head where your crown chakra is. I call in divine healing energies, sacred healing energies to help Ruby feel safe and loved and trusting, right? So you're setting that intention. Intention is important. And then you're holding your hands over her body, and you imagine in your mind's eye, or knowing, or just feeling the energy coming through your crown chakra, through the top of your head, down into your heart, and then out along your arms and into your hands. And then imagine that energy coming out of your hands and into Ruby. And that energy is divine, that energy is sacred, that energy is peaceful, that energy is healing. And because you set that intention, allowing that energy just to do its thing, right? So there you go. There's a couple of things that you can try. Also, actually, there's a third one that I've got here that I'd like to share. Daily trust rituals, right? So building small rituals, and you may already be doing this. So this can just be reaffirming that for you if you are already doing this. So daily affirming rituals where Ruby knows exactly what to expect from you. A soft-spoken good morning, or sitting in the same spot at the same time. Like you could do this practice, one of these practices with her every day, and that becomes a daily ritual of trust. These things create rhythm and predictability, and this is deeply healing for animals who have trauma. Okay, the next question goes into a lot of this has gone into my work actually, but about where I studied. Like I get asked this question probably at least once a week, right? So the question is, I've been following your work and am really impressed by the knowledge you share and the natural products you formulated. I'd love to know more about where you studied, as I'm exploring options in the field of animal naturopathy myself. So to the lady who asked this question, it means so much to me to hear that my work and my products resonate with you and inspire you. Now, my first kind of foundational study in this work was through the National College of Traditional Medicine. They are not called that anymore. You can still Google NCTM or National College of Traditional Medicine. They do have a holding page, but now they're called Animal Naturopathic Medicine Educatum. It's a very long-winded name. I did that course like forever ago. Like I first started in 2014. So, and I know that they've changed things. I know that the founder, who was my main lecturer, she doesn't lecture anymore. So, I know they've gone through a lot of change. So I can't really even, people ask me, well, this is where I trained, but I can't really vouch for the course as it currently is because it's not exactly what I did. But also I stepped outside of my training in a way that it had a very heavy focus on dogs, and I wanted training on cats. And so I did extra work on cats and incorporated those in my assignments so that I would get assessed on them, right? Because that was important to me. So that was my kind of like foundational course that I did. And you can actually go onto my website. On my about page, you will see all the courses that or at least most of the courses that I've done, right? I've done a lot of energy healing courses, a lot. I've also done webinars and mini courses through the College of Integrative Veterinary Therapy, CIVT. They run a bunch of courses. And I'm doing some other training at the moment, although I haven't really been doing it because I haven't really had time to do it. But yes, I have done various short and long courses, right? And will continue to do so. Like I'm literally speaking with someone now to do another energy healing modality. So there you go, right? But I want to really emphasize it's not just about the courses, right? The courses provide an essential foundation, but a lot of what I do today is based on my practical experience of doing the work. This is not to say you shouldn't do a course. You should do a course. Like I've had people ask me and then, they asked me how much my course was and I said it was like 10 grand and they're like, oh my God, can I just learn this stuff online? And I was like, Well, good luck to you. I mean, you could try, but you're not going to get all the textbook information. Like when I did my course, it was based on hard copy textbooks, not Googling. Um, and what are you going to say when you get the question, where did you study? What are your qualifications? Oh, Google? Like people ask, like I said, people ask me every single week, where did you study? Right? Um, so you for me, like if you're serious about doing this as a career, you've got to do a course. But then, as I'm saying, it's not about the course. Then you've got to actually do the work, do the practical. You've got to put yourself out there, build your business, see clients, and be like a sponge, and just be learning as you're doing, right? And then there's another aspect to it. Like you might love what I do, but you may never be able to be the practitioner that I am because you're not me, right? Each practitioner brings their own way of seeing, sensing, supporting, showing up. And that's not something that you can learn really from a structured or generic course. It's something that unfolds as you do the work, listen closely, allow your animals and life and you to teach you, right? So I encourage you to trust your own path. Like it's lovely to get these questions, but really, how did I find my course? I Googled. I searched online for a course. I found a course. I contacted the college and I signed up and I did it, right? And then I started my business. And then it all moved and flowed and changed. And with each new client, with each new symptom, the learning just keeps happening, right? And that's built my business, my work as you see it today. Okay. Um, so I encourage you to trust your own path because it will be shaped as much by who you are as where you learn. And just to let you know, I also offer practitioner mentoring for those who are looking for guidance, clarity, or support. If you're already an animal health practitioner, or if you're getting ready to step into that kind of work, right? So that's the answer to that question. Now, final question I'm going to finish with today, which I'm going to talk briefly on this because I'm going to do a reel about it on Instagram. I put a little story on yesterday, about the scratching tower that I have for my cats. And if people wanted to learn more, and I got a few people saying yes, so I'm going to dig into this a bit deeper, but I thought I'd cover it on here as well. So it's not a question, but it's like, so I put in on the story a picture of Matilda on the cat tower. The cat tower that I recently purchased, mainly for her, because she, as I said at the top of the show, she is a climber, right? And I needed something that was not my plants. I needed something that she would not destroy. So I, got a cat tower. And as I said, I won't repeat myself, other than saying it was a mad rabbit hole search. Because and I'm going to speak to number one, why is this important? Because a lot of these things are toxic and we are bringing these things into our homes, into our animals' homes, and we are increasing their toxic load with every single purchase. Or we can be if we're not spending some time to learn and research, right? So you could just go to the shops, buy a cat scratching post and have no inkling, no thought about, oh my God, is this toxic for my cat, right? And I say cat because dogs don't really use scratching posts, right? So let me know if you've got a dog who uses a scratching post. I'd love to know. And because, I already had a scratching post here that I just got from, a mainstream pet shop that gets moldy and then I have to demold it, right? It's just a stock standard one, right? So I was like, oh, I want to get something that is as low toxic as I can. So as I was searching and searching and searching, everything, majority of them are just made from particle board or MDF, which I can't even remember what that stands for now. Let me do a quick Google search so that this is a complete and thorough episode. Medium density fiber board is what MDF is. Or low grade plywood. So this is kind of like the pretend wood stuff, right? This forms the base of the cat towers or the cat scratching posts. These will often contain formaldehyde-based glues, and these can, and these can off-gas VOCs, volatile organic compounds. These can impact air quality and respiratory health, especially when they're housed in enclosed spaces or if your animal is sensitive, right? So they're a very cheap product. And here, this is what Google tells me. It's created by breaking down hardwood or soft wood residuals into wood fibers, then combining them with wax and resin binders, right? So these binders have formaldehyde, right? And formaldehyde is one of the most toxic things that exist, right? It is a colorless, flammable, pungent smelling gas or liquid that is used in so many things, and has quite a lot of problems associated with it. Like I'm just looking at here, the National Cancer Institute says formaldehyde is a cancer-causing substance. Do you want your animal to be exposed to something that causes cancer? Hell no, right? So I wanted something that wasn't cheap, crappy particle board or MDF or low-grade plywood that didn't have all this formaldehyde BS in it. The other thing is, and did I succeed? Only in part. Toxic synthetic adhesives, glues, paints, and dyes can be used on the sisal, which is the rope, the fabrics, or the platforms, and these toxic synthetic things can be absorbed through animals' pores or ingested when they're grooming. The sisal or the fabric, whether it's the rope sisal or the carpet, can be chemically treated. The carpet can be synthetic and shed plastic fibers, trap allergens and dust. Can also be treated with the chemical treatments that I mentioned, flame retardants, anti-mold agents. These are all potential sources of toxins for your cats. The plastic components, like your cheap chows, will often include plastic elements that can crack, degrade over time, emit volatile organic compounds. Also, they're not biodegradable, so they add to environmental waste. Artificial fabrics, I already spoke about the sisal and the carpet, right? But polyester as well, or faux fleece coverings, like you often see them in the bed sections of the cat towers. It's in the one that I bought, this little faux fleece covering to make it all soft and cozy. Can harbour static, trap heat, release microplastics. So it's just a recipe for disaster. So I was like, I need something, and I don't have thousands of dollars to get something like handcrafted, so I had to get the best that I could get. So I ended up getting one that is literally the platforms are real wood, not particle board, not MDF, not low-grade plywood. Now, wood has gradings. EO, should have done this before. EO, I want to tell you the grades. Oh my God, it goes all the way to like 15 or something. But, the concern that we're looking at really with the wood is the formaldehyde, right? So the E can indicate the level of formaldehyde emission. So there are standards, EO, E1, E2, and I think E2 is the highest when it comes to formaldehyde emission levels. So EO is the lowest emission. So I was like, right, I want EO grade real wood. And so I found one out of the 50 gazillion that I looked at, one. And they said to me, and I was speaking to them back and forth as I do when I'm trying to find something that's low tox. And they said, the wood is EO grade, but we can't classify the whole tower as EO grade because there are still glues and other plastic components used in it. So I was like, yep, I get that. I couldn't get anything that was 100% and no tox, right? And this is life. So you want to be looking for EO grade wood. You want to be looking at undyed, untreated, natural sisal. If you can get plant-based or water-based adhesives, amazing. I couldn't find one that had that. unpainted or low VOC finishes. If you can stretch your budget to get a handcrafted, one that is, make one yourself that's completely no tox, that would be amazing, amazing, amazing. Right. But some of them can run into like the thousands of dollars, and most of us don't have that kind of money to spend on a cat tower that's going to be destroyed eventually and then you throw it out, right? So mine isn't perfect, but it's the best that I could find. So there you go. Something to think about when you're looking at tonight, or now as you're listening to this, when you look at your cat's tower or scratching post and think, I need to get a new one. Yeah, there's some tips for you. I forgot to mention that with the cat tower, because there were some little like baskets that I was hoping that they were made from like natural like rattan or something, but they're not. They're made from horrible plastic. And in there is like faux fleece. So what I did is I actually, to help with the off gassing from those plastic formaldehyde components, I built the scratching post. I could have just put the parts out there before I built it, but I didn't think about it until I'd already built the thing. So I put it outside for a few days to because that's when most of the off gassing happens. It arrives in the box and the plastic, and you take it all out and it's stinky. This wasn't so stinky, which is a good sign, right? But I was like, no, I'm going to put it outside for a few days. General recommendation is like 3 to 7. Because this was an EO grade wood, I was right just doing about 3 days. And then I brought it inside. At night, I made sure it was elevated off the ground and was covered with a sheet. So, I mean, if it's raining, you obviously want to cover it with like tarp or something. So that was one thing that I did. And then what I did is I wanted to cover the plastic basket type stuff and the faux fleece. So what I did is I ordered some organic cotton fleece that I have put over the faux fleece, and then over the plastic baskets, I got some Hessian, natural Hessian from Bunnings. You buy it by the meter, and I put the Hessian over the baskets. So it's hard to explain. But as I said, I want to do a post about this. So I'll put photos of all of that on my Instagram post. I'll try and do that this week. It might be next week. So keep an eye out for that. Or if you're watching or listening to this and it's like later on, you can always get in touch, whether it's commenting below or sending me a DM asking me for that post, or just go to my Instagram and scroll through it until you find it. But yeah, that's what I did to also just so that the animals, Matilda was chewing on the plastic baskets and I don't want her doing that, right? So now it's, protected, it's covered by that Hessian, and she's not lying on that horrible faux fleece. She's lying on the beautiful organic cotton fleece. So if only it was made with these natural fibers to begin with, I would be one happy camper, but I had to make these modifications myself. So there you go. I wanted to share that as well. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up because I've been speaking for an hour. I thought this would be a quick half an hour episode, but no. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you've learned a lot about, all the things that run through pet parents' brains and that I think about and the things that I go down rabbit holes in. So we covered water fountains, we covered grass, we covered ticks, we covered hormones, we covered energy work, we covered where I studied, and we covered cat towers. A lot. All right. So any other questions you've got? I love doing Q&A episodes. So don't wait until I put up a thing saying, do you have any questions? Send them through to me throughout the season. Whenever you think of one, send it to me, DM, email, comment on a podcast episode with your questions so that next time around when I have a Q&A episode, I've got them all there. Actually, to make it really easy for me, there is a feedback form that is linked in the show notes where you can put your questions in. So then that's really easy. I just go to that at the back end of my website and look at all the questions. So I'd love it if you can do that. You can also give me feedback on topics you'd like me to cover, guests you'd like to have on the show. My plan for the next episode next fortnight is a guest. Hello, because I've done a gazillion solo episodes this season. It's just a matter of scheduling, really, but I've got a few guest episodes lined up for you coming soon. If you found this episode helpful, or if you just love the podcast in total, please share it with your other pet people. Talk about it on your socials, tell your friends, tell your mother, tell your colleagues. I get some great feedback on the shows. So, spread the love, people. As I like to say, let's create a better world for animals. Having access to this information is going to do that. So is one way that you can do that. So thank you so much. Until next time, lots and lots of love to you and your animals. Take care.